Anyway, this is Joe.
Hello.
I'm Katie. This
Hello.
is Joe Nicolosi. Hello, Red versus Blue fans. We are
Welcome.
at RTX and we're having a grand old time.
It's
How
amazing.
are you?
I'm feeling really wonderful. Today's day 2, feels like day 10, but I'm feeling great. It's been an awesome RTX so far. I'm making a lot of fast friends, catching up with old buddies.
Day 2 always does kind of feel like day 10.
It does. Day 3 feels like day infinity.
And then when you hit day 5, suddenly you can't sleep anymore.
Never, and then you die.
And then you die.
Spoiler alert.
Speaking of things not ending well, actually I think things... From a story point, I think season 15 ended really well. From an in-character standpoint, they caused some problems.
You know, I came up with the ending of season 16 while I was sitting in a coffee shop working on my outline for the season, and I was like, oh, I love this so much. It was like 10 in the morning, and I just shut my book, and I'm like, I'm done for the day.
Gonna hanger that cliff.
You know, and working on that big finale episode and that big finale scene was something I took a lot of time to do. You know, normally we shoot the show and then we write the music. But this time I went to Nico months before the episode was going to be made, and I'm like, Nico, I need a song. I need a beautiful song for this. You know, I gave him Skeeter Davis's The End of the World as like a reference.
Ooh.
And then he wrote an original song that is of that same tone, and then he wrote the song, and then we machinimated to his music, like a music video. And
wow.
it hits all the right emotional moments for me anyway.
And then hitting all of those old jokes that we're so familiar with from season 1, the chupa thingy, the ever wonder why we're here, the sniper rifle, and just everything being slightly off.
Yeah, the last 3 scenes of this season are the first 3 scenes of Red vs. Blue in reverse order. So for me, it was like a countdown. We're doing 3, 2, 1, and black, you know? So now we're going to go forward and see what happens.
So you mentioned in the panel that the private church that we have at the ending is not actually private church.
No, it's not church, and it's not Jimmy, which was a fan theory. It's actually a character who's all over season 16.
If I guess right, will you tell me?
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't
Of
supposed
course
to be
you
a
will.
secret. Yeah.
Of course. I'm thinking it's Jenkins.
It's definitely Jenkins. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly who it is, you know. We normally hear him speak with like a British accent.
Yeah.
But in the season, he has one other appearance where he's not speaking with an accent. And I thought that would be the clue, but not a whole lot of people have caught on to that.
What was that other appearance?
You have to watch it again.
Oh, well, okay. Go rewatch the season. It was super
It's
fun.
good for my ratings. Yeah.
Yeah.
It.
And I want to talk a little bit about Huggins.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the inspiration for her?
So I wanted new characters this season.
Yes.
And, you know, most of my new characters have to be drawn from armor sets because that's what we have Halo 5 to work with. And I thought, well, hey, you know, if we had a character that's a lens flare, then they wouldn't be in armor. They wouldn't be in Halo. They could be something original. And I thought it'd be really fun to have this sort of fairy that's floating around and is really, really cool. The character is largely based on the actress who voices Huggins.
Really?
Yeah. A.R. Spillers, as she's being credited this season, is someone I've worked with in Austin a bunch. She is a bright, bumbly personality, and I wrote Huggins specifically for her because she is just so like lovely and full of life. So Huggins sort of came from, you know, wanting there to be a member of this pantheon of gods who is a little bit more on the side of the Reds and Blues and is also really fun, and you eventually come to appreciate and love and then maybe grieve for after the events of the 14th episode of the season.
Oh my God, you killed her the same way her parents died.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. It's
It is.
bad karma, I guess. I don't know, not karma. It's bad juju.
It's just bad. It's real bad for her.
Yeah.
But it works super well for Jenkins' master plan.
Thanks. You know, the other thing, too, is I sort of have a philosophy when it comes to characters where there are sort of 2 types of characters. There are characters when they're given a mission or a quest, they resist it because they're attached to their old selves and then reluctantly go along with it. Really, everyone. And there are also characters who are given a mission or a quest and are like, yeah, let's do it. Sounds awesome. And ultimately, those are the characters that have the highest price to pay when the adventure's over. You know, Aronofsky makes a lot of movies about characters who are like really dedicated to the thing they're doing and ultimately have to pay a really steep price. And that's unfortunately the way Huggins had to go.
Well, I'm going to miss the hell out of her next season.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well, okay. Okay.
See what that word means.
Maybe in this business can mean literally
anything. It can mean anything. Who knows?
It really can. Let's talk a little bit about the cosmic powers.
Sure.
Because they are a fun cast of characters. And what inspirations went into them?
So, I've spent a lot of time reading about myths and legends and early origin stories of the universe from multiple different cultures. And as I was starting to think about, well, time travel and what kind of villain can you have in a time travel season? And there can't be another, person, because then how do you fight time travel with time travel? So I sort of thought it needs to be something bigger than the Reds and Blues normally fight. So if we're going to do time travel, they need something that is powerful enough to have some sort of effect on them as they're doing these great big changes. And so I thought, a god, pantheon, really fun things. It also came from the very few Halo 5 maps we haven't used yet. One of them was this big alien temple, and so I thought, well, that makes a whole lot of sense for these god characters. And then specifically, the cosmic powers as a pantheon of gods are inspired a lot by, obviously, the Greeks and Norse mythology, but also Hindu mythology. And
with Kali.
Yeah, and all of these different pantheons that have existed in all these different cultures around the world all have very similar origin stories of gods fighting titans, and that being the birth of the universe as we know it. And so the fact that all of these different religions had similar ideas made me think, well, what if all these gods are the same gods influencing different cultures around Earth, and who are these actual people that have been doing this to not only human culture, but cultures around the galaxy, and then why, which is something we'll get into more next season.
That'll be interesting.
It's a bit wordy, but yeah, it's a complicated answer.
No, that's a good one. I'm switching gears. I want to talk a little bit about Doc.
Yeah.
Because he and O'Malley were pretty big movers and shakers in this season. I was not expecting Doc backstory after all this time.
Well, one of the things I looked back at season 15, and there were characters who were along for the adventure and didn't really have a big point. Doc and Donut were two of them, and going into this season, I'm like, how can I use them better? And in my mind, I thought they're not very developed, and so therefore I don't know what to do. And then I thought, well, they're not developed. That means I can do anything. I can really build on them. I can give them story and backstory. I can give them a reason to be. And so a lot of this season was like, hey, finally Donut gets a time to shine. Donut's the main character of the season, and Doc, let's hear about Doc and what makes Doc tick, and what would corrupt him, and how he would maybe one day find redemption from that. So this is my Doc and Donut season, which is evident in the fight in the finale. I mean, it's not two cool people fighting. It's the two least important characters fighting for the fate of the universe, and I'm that's sort of what I was always aiming for from the beginning of the season.
Now, tell me a little more about that fight, because that is a hell of a set piece. Was there anything you wanted in there that didn't make it? Was there? Just tell me more about the process for that.
It was pretty amazing. I mean, I wrote the finale script, and it was 39 pages long, and it was really big and ambitious, and it was bigger than I'd been talking about it for months, and it was bigger than the producers even thought it was going to be. And they fought and they worked with me, and we found cheap sets that we can use, and we recycled things from other shows, and we used things from other shows that haven't come out yet, and we found so many savings. And in doing so, we were able to have the fight exactly how I had imagined it. If I had, millions more dollars, we would go to Gettysburg, you know what I mean? We would go, to a movie set where they're filming The Matrix or some other fun settings. But, the fight came out, in my mind, really, really well, and it has all the beats that I would want to have in a cool time travel fight.
It was a hell of a thing to watch.
And it looks pretty.
Incredible. It does. It's super pretty.
Thanks.
Especially the little WWE bit.
Yeah, that was fun. I don't know much about wrestling, so I in the script I called it like a Stone Cold Stunner, and it was actually a neck breaker. I don't know the terminology, but yeah.
It's okay. Someone along the line did and was able to help you out.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to talk a little bit about Wash, but the only question I really had for that is why?
Sure. No, it's a great question, and it's one that I thought I might have to answer at the panel today, so I've thought a lot about. Really the Wash thing comes from a few different directions. I think, first and foremost, Wash and Carolina have become the mother and father of the Reds and Blues. They're paternal and maternal for these characters, and as these characters grow and get older, our parents stop taking care of us, and we start taking care of them. And so a lot of what happens to Wash and his injury is sort of about that transition of growing up. And hey, cool dad is cool dad who's still cool, but sometimes he's going to need our help now. And also beyond that, Wash having a handicap that he has to overcome gives him a great personal struggle, and it gives Carolina a great personal struggle because now she's gone from hurting people to being a nurse. And it gives the Reds and Blues a personal struggle. So when you find one horrible thing you can do that makes all the other characters' lives infinitely harder, it becomes impossible not to do that thing.
Yeah, as a writer, you damn well do it.
I mean, that's for me, it's kind of not what needed to happen to Wash, but certainly something that gives him a great personal thing to overcome. And he's such a perfect character. He's such an awesome character. But like seeing him struggle is ultimately what's going to make him a better person if he can be. So that's really the I think I gave 2 reasons. I forgot the third.
Well, you've hurt me very deeply, so congratulations
Thank you
on
so
your
much.
success.
That's my goal. You personally, not people in general.
Okay, just me personally. Well, I'm glad you're validated. That was exactly my goal.
Awesome. I did it.
I have to know, what was in the message that Locust sent to them at the beginning that
How much
Griff
time do we
refused to...
How much time do we have?
CliffsNotes?
Not much.
I mean, we can't get Gray back in to do do voice, sadly.
Yeah,
So
well, I have sort of, while writing this season, kind of, I mean, you know, the ideas for Red and Blue, they tributary off into new rivers, and I think of whole crazy storylines that don't have anything to do with this other story I'm telling, and the situation with Chorus, which is also mentioned in that episode, and the situation with Locust, in my mind, were part of a great big storyline that's kind of happening simultaneously to this season, and one that I could describe to you if I had way more time, but I don't.
will we ever see those side stories?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe not.
Something to look forward to, maybe.
We'll see. I mean, you know, maybe. I also don't want to talk about it too much because then I'd be tied into it. What if I have a better idea?
Yeah, and it's like, no, but Joe said in this video that it was...
And plus,
we're
would you
having
want to
fun.
see Locust on trial? You know, would you want to see a presidential election on Chorus for its independence, and you know how those two things relate to each other? I mean,
Yes.
That sounds okay.
Yes. I yes to all. Can I subscribe to your newsletter? I'm already subscribed to the Rooster Teeth site. Can I subscribe to your newsletter?
I don't have a newsletter. What does that mean?
That just means I
didn't
like
get
what you're
to your
putting.
joke,
I am
I'm sorry.
picking up what you're putting down. I like it. I like it. All right. Is there anything you want to let the fans know?
No, your mean comments really hurt.
Oh my God.
They really hurt. No, I'm just kidding. No, they do hurt though. No, everything's great. Everything's awesome. Feeling really
Constructive
great.
criticism.
Feeling great. Constructive criticism. Great. I got a great new shrink tells me not to care as much.
You gonna be
Anyway,
okay?
Back to you.
You gonna be okay?